Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into our podcast. I am your host, Fernando Leon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Gregory Moravietz. And today we have another guest from the CEO from Rialto Marketing. Tim Fitzpatrick is an entrepreneur and business owner with marketing and growth expertise. He has over 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience with a passion for developing and helping businesses grow. And a quick plug on Rialto. Rialto Marketing was started in 2013 and has been helping MSPs build and manage their marketing engine to get where they want to go faster. They do that by identifying and removing revenue roadblocks in three key marketing areas: strategy, which serves as your fuel; planning, your marketing vehicles; and leadership, the driver behind it all. Aligning these three elements is crucial for accelerating revenue growth. But before we get started, let's quickly go over the agenda. We'll go over the value Rialto offers MSPs. What is strategic lead generation? Why is it important? Are there some simple steps MSPs can take for strategic lead generation? And we'll get Tim's input on the biggest mistake MSPs are making with marketing. And then we'll share Rialto Marketing URL at the end of this show. All right, so let's get into it. So Tim, thanks again for joining us. You and I have been going back and forth on LinkedIn, and we finally got connected and got this going. So I appreciate you making time for us.
Fernando, Gregory, I appreciate you guys having me. So super excited to do this with you today.
All right, all right. Well,
Me.
tell us about the value you have to offer MSPs, because these guys, they're tough cookies. These
Yeah.
guys they've heard it all.
Yes.
So,
Yes, they
uh,
have. Right.
yeah.
Many of them have been burned by marketing. Right. They overpromise and underdeliver. But I think a lot of the challenges that MSPs have with marketing stems back to the fundamentals, the strategy behind it. Too many are just we're jumping into vehicles without fuel, right? It's information overload is alive and well with marketing, right? There's so many different channels, so many different tactics, and we feel like we need to be everywhere. And so we just start taking action, but we take action without a lot of strategy behind it. And that's why most marketing fails, is just doesn't have the fuel it needs to work.
So I agree with you. I also, you mentioned vehicles and fuel, which I completely agree. And the leadership is absolutely a must because the leadership determines this is our messaging, and this is the messaging that delivers value to your ideal client. Now, I tell this to everybody. Marketing is not a destination. Like a vehicle takes you to a destination, but
Yeah.
the vehicle is taking you on a journey. You're on a journey. This is not a stop and go type of strategy. This is like forever.
Yeah.
If you plan on
Yes.
being in business for the next 10, 20 years, plan on having a marketing strategy for the next 10, 20 years. And when you have to pivot, listen to leadership. They're the ones that are in touch with. I go to dozens of webinars because there's just smarter people than me out there, because there's new things coming out. There's just new data that just adds more fuel to why we believe in SEO, PPC, online marketing, social media, all of that, because you need to get educated on what's going on today. Things change tomorrow. So always be up to date with webinars. And speaking of webinars, do you give webinars, Tim?
From time to time, I do. It's not the kind of thing I do consistently. I do a lot more of this type of interaction where I jump
Okay,
on, podcasts, but sometimes I'll do joint
I
webinars
like
with
it.
folks as well. So,
Good, good. I would love to do one with you just to, put on display your expertise and your recommendations and the value you deliver for MSP. So that leads me to my next question: is what is define to us what is strategic lead generation?
yeah, so I mean this really is a simple concept. I mean, I like to keep things as simple as possible because when we make things complex, it just gets in the way of results. And so when I talk about strategic lead generation, it's a focused approach to lead generation that addresses your target audience and your message to that audience first, prior to jumping into the marketing tactics or the marketing vehicles. Like I said before, most people are jumping into the vehicles before they've really have a clear understanding of their target audience and what they're actually going to say to that audience.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we got vehicles that have no fuel, and we all know that that's not going to work. You can push the vehicle down the road for a while, but you're going to get tired. It's not efficient. We've got to put strategy before tactics. And that's what strategic lead generation is all about.
Now, I'm a firm believer too of keeping things simple, because I agree. You start to complicate things and it will drag you down. It's not only, and it's time consuming,
Yes.
and it's frustrating. People make things so complicated. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm glad we see eye to eye on that. And I think it's critical. It's critical, especially to MSPs who deliver so much value. These guys are great at delivering excellent tech support. They're excellent at technology. They're great at building complex infrastructures and making it look simple. And these guys, they need a lot of help when it comes to marketing, and that's one of the most important things that I feel is help. It will help your business grow, because all these guys, they all rely on word of mouth, and that well will eventually dry because you cannot rely on word of mouth. So They have to look for other mechanisms to help them build that trust, build rapport, build credibility. So, what is important? What to tell me? What are the three most important things you feel, or mechanisms you feel? This is an opinion.
Yeah.
What these guys need to do to start building that trust, building rapport, building that credibility that people want to see.
Yeah. So with that question, Fernando, you're asking more about the tactics. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a loaded question, but I'll answer it as best I can. Because I think there's no one size fits all marketing plan, right? And so um I I tend to stay away from you have to do this or you have to do that, right? Because if I say to an MSP, oh man, you got to start creating video content, and they are terrified to be on camera,
Yep.
they're not going to do it well, right? They're
Yep.
going to hate it. They're not going to do it well. They're going to give up. It's not going to work. So to me, it's a matter of finding the vehicles that will allow them to get in front of their ideal clients and the ones that resonate that work well with them. Okay. But what I will say is in general, okay, I think there is low hanging fruit from a marketing tactic perspective that the vast majority of MSPs should absolutely be taking advantage of. One, well, first and foremost, like you got to have a website and it's got to be current. um, and there needs to be a clear path of that you're taking people down, right? Because you touched on this. A lot of MSPs are generating most of their business from referrals and word of mouth. Nothing wrong with that. It's great. As you pointed out, it's not predictable and it's not scalable. But even if you're generating all your business from referrals, they're still going online to check you out. And if your website looks like it's from 1995, they it's over, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
everything that you do from a marketing standpoint, your website is the hub. So
Yep.
you've got to have a great website. Okay.
Yep.
The second tactic I would say is email marketing.
Yep.
Okay. Email marketing is inexpensive.
Yep.
It still works.
Yep.
It is a great way to nurture relationships, period. No matter where those potential clients or clients are in the customer journey, email is a critical component there. And I absolutely think that you need to have it in place. Um, The third thing I will say is with MSPs, it is look, it's a big purchase for clients, right? It's a big decision to shift IT providers. You got to have trust and credibility. And one of the best ways to do that is content in some way, shape, or form,
Yep.
whether that's written content or it's podcast, audio content or video. I think you got to have some type of content engine that is driving and helping build credibility and authority with your audience.
Yep. Yeah. Nope. I agree on all three of those. Yeah. We are big content pushers, right?
Yeah.
We are we it's a weekly thing for us. Weekly blog, weekly podcast. We try to do a weekly webinar just to get Gregory and I on video and discussing more visually what what IT firms should be doing for their clients, what tech stacks they should have in place, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
it's a definite must. Yeah, and you're talking to somebody who hates being on camera, and it's not a. And I'm a sales and marketing guy. I'm I should be very comfortable being in front of the camera, but it's really not. Yeah, I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to say this just has to be done if I'm going to accomplish this mission. Where Gregory and I are on a mission right now, and I go, if we're going to accomplish this mission, I need to get on the camera because Gregory's not going to do it. He doesn't like being on the camera either. But um, I had to step up and make this happen because it just there was no other way. We have to get video done. Let me ask you this, because I was I was on a call with another MSP, and I go, hey, you know what? You need to start making some video content. You need to do this, this, and that. We were just discussing some strategies, and I go, it's got to be. Don't be talking about how great you are. You need to create customer centric messaging. You need to provide value in your messaging. You need to solve problems. You can do that in a very short span. It's just delivering it. So what did he do? The techie person that they are, they created an artificial intelligence video, which came out great. Are you okay with artificial intelligence creating videos for you where the guy, they have an actual person speaking, and it looks great. How do you feel? It all comes down because of the content they're creating, but there is Google going to ding you for that not being a real person, or do they care that artificial intelligence is delivering that message?
I think it's a little too early to tell.
Okay.
Uh, we're still super early in AI.
Hmm.
What I will tell you, the big benefit to video is it helps people get to know you. And so if it's not really you, I think there could be problems with that or challenges with that down the road.
Hmm.
And to your point, Fernando, like, man, when I first started doing video content, uh, man, I'm an introvert. Like, I recharge my batteries like by myself, like quiet time. But the more I pushed myself and the more I did it, the more comfortable I became, right? So the more we push ourselves, the larger our comfort zone becomes. And so if you can push through that, I love video content because it can be repurposed into so many other forms of content. But
Hmm.
whatever you're doing with your content, the great thing about content is it can be leveraged into your other marketing vehicles, right? We create
Yep.
a video and we can promote that on social media. We can take that and promote it through our email marketing, right? You can
Yep.
create a blog post from it if you want and put it on your website. So there's a lot of leverage that you can generate from content that you produce that can drive the rest of your marketing efforts. So um yeah, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell with AI video, but I think one of the big benefits to video is it helps people get to know you even if they haven't met you. And you may lose that if you're not shooting real video versus AI video.
Yeah, I agree. This is again, this topics I discuss every week with CEOs of MSPs is, in order for people to trust you, you got to build rapport with them. You got to build credibility. And how do you do that? Well, you create content. You create information that solves their problem. And
Yeah.
this leads to my next question. That I have here is like, what simple steps do you recommend? Where some MSPs, they have tight budgets because they're just starting out, and we love helping out. These one man shows who are just starting out because they're building side hustles, or they just decided I'm going all in. I'm building an IT firm. But are there some simple steps for to get started with strategic lead generation? Is there something you
Yeah.
can recommend to the audience for where they're like, hey, this is low cost? Because I like email. Email is a definite must. But I pushbacks on email. You have these sophisticated platforms now that track every metric, how many
Yeah.
unsubscribes, how many bounces, how many click-throughs. They're measuring all this, and which helps them determine, oh, you purchased this list. These people did not opt in, and it might hurt, they get blacklisted.
Yeah.
So we want to prevent that, but I think that will happen less if you provide educational documentation. But if you don't have it, where are they going to get it? Tim, I can think of 10 things right now for the medical industry that they would want to read about, right? HIPAA compliance, security, disaster recovery, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All the list goes on and on. I can think of it in my head, but I have to now produce a blog or an article or some white paper or something that states medical offices should need to take HIPAA compliance seriously because there's penalties and fines and whatever.
Yeah.
These guys can't do that. They can't. I can. I'm a marketing guy. I'm pretty creative. I can get pretty creative on the pen, but these guys don't. They don't have time and they don't have the creativity to make it happen. So, what do you suggest on something like that? And am I going down the right direction with the strategic lead generation?
Um,
With Go ahead.
yes. But I want to take it a step back because with you touched on this, we don't have unlimited budgets, right? And
Yep.
when we don't have unlimited budgets, we need to be very targeted with our marketing. And where a lot of MSPs struggle is they're targeting very broadly with their marketing. And because of that, they're trying to reach a very broad audience and the message just falls flat, right? You go to 5 MSP websites, depending on the 5 you go to, it's 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 basically say the same flavor of message, which
Exactly. Yep.
creates no differentiation. And then what we're doing is we're competing on price. And so going back to that initial definition of strategic lead gen, which is about focusing on our target audience and our message first before we jump to what content are we going to create, right? We can't identify the content that we need to create until we understand who our ideal clients are.
Hmm.
And our ideal clients are not everybody, right? Or it's not everybody, it's every small business with 20 to 50 seats in the greater Denver metro area. That's too broad.
Yep. Yep.
And so with strategic lead gen, the first thing we need to do is we need to hone in on our target market. What market are we serving? And who are our ideal clients within that market?
Hmm.
So here's a simple way to start, right? With for an MSP that's been in business, right? You've been working with clients. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Look at
Yep.
your existing client base
Yep.
and ask yourself, I call them the 3 power questions. One, who do you love working with? Why in the world do you want to work with somebody that makes you bang your head against a wall? Right? Like, forget it. It's painful. Business is
Hmm.
hard enough. You got to love the people that you work with. Two, who are your most profitable clients? And when I say that, I mean profitable from a gross profit perspective. Sometimes clients that drive overall revenue or top line revenue are not as profitable, right? Maybe they're taking up a lot of your time or they're grinding you on, your what you charge. We want to look at your highest gross profit clients. And then the third is who are you getting great results and outcomes for? So if you ask yourself those 3 questions, you end up with a list of clients that check all 3 of those boxes. You
Hmm.
love
Hmm.
working with them, they're profitable, and you're getting great outcomes for them. Now, this is a rhetorical question, but like, how great would your business be if those were the people that you worked with day in, day out, right? It would be freaking amazing.
Yep.
You're going to be happy. Your team's going to be happy. Your clients are going to be happy. They're going to want to refer you. They're going to want to continue to work with you, and you're making money.
Yep. Yep.
It's that group that you start to dig a little bit deeper to go, what are the commonalities here,
Yep.
right? What are the demographics of the people in this group? And what are the psychographics? And when I talk about psychographics, I mean, what are their thoughts, right? What are the common problems they have? What are the goals and their aspirations?
No,
What do
I
they want, right?
Yep.
We're getting
Yep.
into their head there because when we can get into their head, then we really understand them. And then that's when we can create a message that's going to resonate with and attract those people. But what ends up happening, Fernando, when MSPs go through this exercise is, man, all these things come to the surface and it's like, holy cow, like I never really even thought much about this, but let's go back to healthcare. Like sometimes an MSP goes through this and they're like, oh my God, half of our clients are in the healthcare space.
Hmm.
Huh.
Hmm.
Maybe we need to start focusing on healthcare,
Yep. Yep.
right? And so it's once you ask yourself the power questions, then you can start to hone in on who really are our ideal clients. And that's when you can start to look at, okay, what do we need to do to get in front of these people? But it's, when you're saying I'm going to target small business owners in this general area, it's just so broad. Okay, great. I can go to some networking events and maybe I'll hit somebody that needs my help. Or if I'm targeting, you know, independent pediatrician offices, right?
Mhm.
Well, then you can start to identify, where do those people go? Where do independent pediatricians congregate, right? Where do they get information? And then all of a sudden, when you have that information, then you can start to get much more targeted. And you know that when you market, you're going to get in front of the exact people that you want to work with.
That's something that I include in my documentation for this kit that we're building for MSPs who need advice, right? We want to point them to people like you, but we want to challenge them with, start to think about, if you plan on building a scalable business, you need to start thinking about exactly what you just said. If you plan, for one, a lot of these guys are just starting out. So they're taking everything they can. They could be the biggest pain in the ass client and they don't care because
Yeah.
they're just starting out. But this message that you just said is not only compelling, but it should speak volumes to organizations that are established, right? Who are like, okay, what are we going to do in order to continue building upon our current client base? Is
Yeah.
exactly what you just said. They need to go back, look at their client base and say, who are the pains? Who are the most profitable? Who do we enjoy working with? And then start building messaging around there and then do exactly what you just said. Where do they congregate? Where does my audience go? Are they on podcasts? Are they at seminars? Are they on, are they are they millennials where they're watching primarily webinars? Do I need to create advertisements for webinars? Do I need to um but that's if they're listening to podcasts, create an ad for a podcast. They're not going to see your face, but they're going to hear your voice talking to the medical industry saying, hey, you guys need to be HIPAA compliant. We deliver that solution so you guys are secure and compliant, so there's no penalties, et cetera, et cetera. But they need to do that type of research because just like you said, they need to get an understanding of where their audience goes for information and where they can market them to, because that's the only way they're going to build their business. Is there's no other way. I'd like to say there was another way, but there's not.
Well, think about it, Fernando. I am on a podcast. I work with MSPs. I'm on a podcast focused on MSPs. I'm not on a podcast that is for general entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
right? Too broad.
yeah, it is too broad.
So it's the same thing for MSPs. Once we understand who our ideal clients are, and then we identify where they are, then we can start to pick and choose what we're going to do to get in front of those people, right? That list, I call it an ideal client GPS. It's
Hmm.
that list of all the places they are, online and offline. You touched on this a little bit, but what podcasts do they listen to? What websites do they go to? What communities are they involved in? What social media groups, YouTube channels, associations, organizations? What vendors do they buy from? All of those things are places that you could potentially market to get in front of your ideal clients. But one of my mentors said success starts with a list. That's what we're doing here. We're creating a list of where the ideal clients are. And then you can choose. You're not going to go to every place on the list. You just can't, unless you
Yep.
have an unlimited budget and a bunch of people. But that list is targeted, and you can say, you know what? I'm going to join this association and get involved in this association for the next 6 months and see what happens.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. And then
Yeah.
at the end of that 6 months, I'm going to evaluate, what's working, what's not, make my course corrections and updates, and then keep moving on down the road. But I'm very targeted with what I do. And that's where you're going to get a much higher return on your marketing efforts. And it's where your message, a broad message doesn't resonate. A message that is specific to a particular audience is going to be much more effective. And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you go to single point of contacts, I'm going off script here because this is an MSP corner platform we're talking on. But the reason we developed the MSP corner was because of single point of contact. Single point of contact only works with IT service firms. We're their back end for their overflow for help desk tickets, and we're their 24/7 SOC. So, and then the ones that are on break fix, they need our help to transition to the MSP model. So we help them there too. So our messaging on our website is all just to the IT service industry. We have some pretty big players out there that are competing against us. But Tim, we're the number one organic choice for over 20 keyword terms um, for this space. So we're meeting with 20, 30, 40 CEOs every month because of our online presence, because of Google thinks of us as the authority. And that should speak volumes to IT firms. They should say, maybe I need to make a shift. I need to pivot my messaging to just target one audience. Now, we used to be in that boat that you talked about, broad. It's the shotgun approach, right? Spray
Mhm.
and
Yep.
pray.
Yep.
And we were
That's right.
getting every industry and we were getting large opportunities, but we weren't winning. We were losing. And it
Yep.
had everything to do with I believe, our messaging, how we presented ourselves. So yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you 1,000% on that because we made that shift 12 plus years ago. We had to. I knew we had to.
Yeah.
So
You make a really good point there, Fernando, too. Like you were going broad, you're attracting leads, but you weren't converting well
yeah,
because it's too
yeah,
broad, right? And
yep,
not only that, what you end up doing is you end up wasting time with prospects that are not a good fit.
yep.
And so it becomes much more efficient when
Well,
you're
yeah.
more targeted.
Let me just tell you what these firms were telling us. They were saying we're going to work with a firm that are experts in our industry. I don't know how many times I heard that. I swear I could I didn't I it made my head spin. It was like, geez, what do we need to do here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad we made the shift to our current target market. I mean, I'll sign up an IT service firm tomorrow and they'll bring on 10 new clients, right? We're managing all their 10 clients or
Yeah.
20 clients or whatever. And it's a lot easier on my marketing budget, but I'm spending all this money to attract one client. It's like it just didn't make sense to us. So but I'm all in for targeting one industry. I think a handful is the most you should go after. Yeah, even a handful is a lot. I think three should be your maximum, right?
Yeah.
Maybe medical, financial, and legal, maybe, right? Because, but I don't know. It's really, this is a personal journey. I truly believe this is a personal journey for everybody. It's their business and they're the ones that are going to go through the struggles, so they have to make that decision. But I'm glad you made a very valid point. I've talked to other marketing firms and they haven't said that, and I'm glad. And this is something that I also get on my soapbox and say, you have to make a decision on who you are. I talk about the identity a lot. Who are you as an MSP or as an IT service firm? Are you an MSP? Are you an MSSP? Are you a break fix? Whatever it is, don't be a web developer or web designer and you're a cabling firm. Identify who you are and then start talking to the audience you want to attract. Don't start talking to everybody. You're going to be You're not going to be looked as the authority, the trusted advisor, the thought leader, right? You want to be looked. We're in a very competitive. I don't know what your age is. I saw you on video here. I'm thinking you're in your mid 30s, so you're not even close to my age. But Greg, Gregory and I. Well, you did say been in the IT industry for 25 years, or
Yeah,
marketing for 20.
you're too kind, man. The camera didn't pick up my gray hair.
Okay, well, I just remembered the 25 years, so you've got to be at least late 40s.
Yes.
Okay. So you're in our generation where, we relied on the yellow pages,
Yeah.
411. Everybody's like, what is 411? That's what we called for information, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
or we asked for referrals. If I needed something back in the early 2000s, Gregory, him and we've been working together since 2001. If I needed something, I'm like, Greg, who do I call for a dentist? Who do you recommend? Or who's the roofing company I'm going to use to re-roof my house? Right? It's like now everything is at our fingertips. Everything is online, and people are more accustomed to doing searches online than they are for asking for a referral or working with a family member or working with friends, because they want to keep things, you know, they don't want to ruin that friendship or relationship they have in place. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's the world has changed. We have to change with it. All right.
Yeah, can I ask some questions here? Is there a ratio of how much money you spend to what kind of return on investment you get? How do you tell, like, if you say to somebody, "Let's do this marketing activity," how do you know? Is it worth it? I've done so many marketing activities where there's been no return on investment. How do you talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The one, you should be getting a return on your overall marketing, right? If you're losing money on it, something's off, right? And it needs to be shifted. I think the challenge that a lot of MSPs run into is they're investing in marketing and it's not working, and they don't know, and they don't know why, right? And they then end up just trying all kinds of different things. And this is my opinion, obviously, but I think the reality with marketing is a lot of marketing that we do is not going to work. But
S-
marketing is about testing, measuring, and learning from it. And then wash, rinse, repeat, right? And the stuff we do that doesn't work helps us get to that place where we find what does work. And when we realize what does work, then we can double down on it, right? And so,
Well, how much would you think to spend on figuring out what works?
well, it
I
depends
mean,
on it.
what,
It depends on the MSP and what they're doing and where their budget's at. But you should look, if you're making your money back on your marketing, in my opinion, why would you stop doing that? Right? Because long term, if it's 1 to 1, right, it's break even. But over the lifetime value of that client, it's profitable, right?
right.
So ideally, you want to be well above just breaking even, right? 2 times, 3 times. Sometimes people are getting much higher than that, 5 to 10 times their return on investment. But not everything you do from a marketing standpoint is going to knock it out of the park, right? Some things are going to, something might get 10x, something else might get 2x. Does that mean that you stop doing what's at 2x and just go in on what's 10x? In my opinion, no, because things are always changing. So what you're getting a 10x return on right now is not always going to yield the 10x return. So you've constantly got to be iterating and doing things. And if you're getting a return on something that you're doing, in my opinion, there's no reason you should stop doing it.
You know,
And
Go ahead, Greg.
And I mean, how you're like, figure out what works. I mean, that's a lot of figuring. That could be a lot of figuring out, right? If you
It
said, I
can,
mean,
but
there's
here's
like
the
20 different things you could do.
yeah, there are, yes, but here's the thing. In Greg, I believe most MSPs don't need more marketing channels, they need fewer. And they need to go deeper into fewer channels, right? So
L-
you don't need to be everywhere with your marketing.
I mean, if I was a brand new MSP and I had a website that was current, modern, and I was sending out a couple of newsletters a month, where would you think I would be ideal that I would be ideal to move into? Would you say go deeper into your email campaigns, or would you say fix up your website more? I mean, what would you
No,
suggest to
if
me as
they've got a good website in
yeah.
place, I would definitely make sure that my email marketing is in place, right? And I'm doing it consistently, right? Because it's marketing is about consistency over time. Because the majority of our audience is not ready to buy. So if they come in contact with us and they're not at that place where they're ready to buy and we don't stay in front of them, they're never going to think of us when they're ready to buy. So email can help you nurture that relationship. And then from there, I think it's a matter of going back to that list that we talked about, that ideal client GPS, and going, okay, I've got my website in place, right? I know who my ideal clients are. I've got a strong message to them. Got my email marketing. What's the next thing that I want to focus on, right? I personally think low-hanging fruit when you're targeted is starting to develop referral partner relationships, strategic partners. Who else is working with your ideal clients? That's another good place to start. Now that is a referral relationship, right? But with strategic partners, you're talking to people that can not just send you one bit of business, they can send you business over and over and over again because they're in front of your ideal clients on a regular basis.
See? All right. But I want to know.
Yeah.
I agree with Tim. I think that you should. Well, I would have an approach of, okay, let's start off slow. Let's start off with a newsletter. Let's start educating our audience, and then start building and nurturing nurturing those prospects. But because it is low cost, it's low risk, low cost, and it's a good start. At least get these guys to do something. Do at least do something. A lot of them
Yeah.
are doing nothing. And I'm going to do a quick plug for Enable, because Enable is incredible. They produce all our content for our newsletter. I don't have to do one thing. I just configure the campaign and it sends the information for me. And it even automates my social media posts. So they are remarkable. I love the team out there. They're very helpful, great people, but they do a phenomenal job when it comes to content and targeting specific industries. They create specific content for specific industries. So they're remarkable. But yeah, I to answer Gregory's question, I agree with Tim. You gotta start somewhere. You gotta test the waters. You gotta measure. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, right, Tim?
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
yes, that's right.
I mean,
Yes.
it's just a fact, and you want to know what's working, what's not working. We do that with keywords. What are the metrics on keywords? What's working? What pages are popular? What topics are popular? So we tend to we follow those metrics that tell us, okay, the white label stock services is very popular. Let's create more content for that. So we continue we're everything is determined by metrics. And that's the way everybody should operate their business, because if you're not, then you don't have a strategy in place. And I think that's what Tim's message is, at the end of the day, is you need to have a strategic approach to your marketing. And that leads me to my next question is, I'm sure it's I'm sure this I think I think I know what your answer is going to be, because what's the biggest mistake MSPs make with marketing? What is your opinion? Because you only work with MSPs.
Yeah.
What do you see, Tim?
Yeah, it's jumping in to the tactics without having the strategy,
Sure. Sure.
right?
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
so many resources out there for MSPs from a marketing standpoint,
Yep. Yep.
but they're just they don't know what to do with all of it.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
I
It's like,
agree.
great, gosh, I'm getting marketing materials from my vendors, and I'm involved in a program, right? And I've got all these things, but like, what do I do with all this stuff? What you do with all that stuff becomes much clearer when you've got that strategy in place. And so, strategy does take a little bit of time, but taking the time to do strategy now will help you move much faster in the long term. So don't skip it, because the vast majority of MSPs are skipping it. They're just
Yep.
going right into the vehicles. I'm taking action, but then what happens is none of the stuff works, and they don't know
Oh,
why.
all right. One last question. What do you see producing results for your MSP clients? What is working for them?
Say that again.
Since you only work with MSPs, what is working for them? What marketing strategy is working for them? Because this is what I tell all the MSPs that bring this topic up with me.
Yeah,
A lot of it has to do with, they ask me, should they invest in SEO, PPC, and I'm like, they shouldn't invest in SEO or PPC if their website's in bad shape. It's just, that's not it.
yeah,
First, they got to determine, is their website in good shape? They then need to determine, does their area have the demand to invest in SEO or PPC?
right.
Because I'm a big SEO guy. I'm a big PPC guy. I'm a big believer in that. We our successes are because of SEO and PPC. So,
Yeah,
what do you see, or how do you respond to that? What do you
yeah.
what is your area that you see a lot of success in? Because, yeah, so go ahead, shoot, you go,
So
fire.
yeah, so here's how I'll answer that, because it goes back to one of the points I made before. Like, there is no one size fits all plan, which is another reason why MSPs struggle with marketing, right? It's like, oh, just go follow this plan. And they do it and it doesn't work. It's to determine what you need to focus on as an MSP, you need to first understand where you currently are, right? And then from there, you can create a plan that's going to help you get where you want to go. We all MSPs have different end goals, right? And they're starting from different places. And we need my GPS can't tell me how to get to the Denver International Airport until I tell it where I'm starting from, right? Same thing with marketing. You need to know where you're starting from. Then you can create a plan to get to the destination. And what marketing vehicles should you use? Man, it's all over the place, right? It depends on what your budget is, what your goals are, right? If you want to 10x in the next 5 years and exit, that's totally different plan than if you want to 2x in the next 10 years, right? So, I threw out some general things earlier about tactics, your website, email marketing, content. I'll stick with those. Should you be doing PPC or SEO? Well, it depends on where you are and where you want to get to. So, it's I'm not gonna say everybody should do it, because not everybody should.
Yeah, I agree. I say SEO is not for everyone, because it just depends. It depends on your goals. It depends, because let me tell you, get ready to
Yeah,
scale. if SEO works for you and you're not ready to scale, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So, but yeah, I'm a big believer also in like, what are your goals and what are you looking to accomplish? And the area plays a big factor in, whether you invest in SEO or not. But
Well,
email for sure. I think email is a definitive yes, because
absolutely.
right. I mean, email is so low risk.
Yeah.
And
Your website and email marketing, absolutely.
yeah,
From
yeah.
there, and you touched on this a little bit, Fernando, like the sequencing in marketing when things occur is
Hmm.
just as important, if not more important than what you do.
Yep.
If
Yep.
you invest in PPC and you don't know who your ideal clients are, you have a horrible message and your website sucks, you are flushing money down the toilet,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
sequencing is out of whack.
Yep. Yep.
So you've got to get the sequencing right. And
Yep.
that's where we help MSPs just make sense of this whole marketing maze. How do I navigate this thing?
Yep.
And we're tactic agnostic. Like I don't care about the marketing vehicles or the tactics because I don't that's not how we make our money, and
Yep.
it's going to be different for everybody. We stay at that strategic level, help plan, and then help oversee implementation and execution, help lead those efforts. You have to have those things in place. Any of the vehicles can work.
Yep. Yep.
Which vehicles are right for you? Well, you got to get that baseline and you got to look at, like you said, where, what are your goals? Where do you want to get to? What resources do you have? There's a lot of things that come into making that decision, and that's not a one size fits all thing.
Well, the other question is you need to ask yourself too is, what is my budget? How quickly do I want leads? Do I want them tomorrow, or is it in 6 months okay? 10 months, a year? Because, like I said earlier, this is not a destination. This is a journey. So be ready for a long ride. It's a long ride.
Yeah.
It's not gonna stop. Well, Tim, I really appreciate, one of the things that we're going to discuss next week, because we have a once a month call it's called the Expert Corner, and Gregory and I, we invite everybody. We invite all MSPs, but you're welcome to join the call. But we really just talk about whoever joins our call. We talk about, they might have questions on tech stack. They might have a technology question. They might have an MSP question. They might be a break fix firm, or they might be an MSP who want to become an MSSP. So we want to provide them guidance and free advice just to help them out. But I do have a show, like I have a structured show. So if nobody shows up, Gregory and I will just convert it into a webinar, and I'm going to share a few slides on something that MSPs don't really focus on, or online real estate they don't focus on, is their LinkedIn company page, their LinkedIn personal page. What should be on there? What should it say? And what should they post? So I'm going to give some visual examples of what these guys need to do in order to build that authority, to build trust, to build rapport with their audience. And who should be following their LinkedIn company page? Well, it all depends on who their audience is. It shouldn't be family members, it shouldn't be friends, it shouldn't be, former colleagues is okay, because they might go to a firm that might need them in the future. But definitely, if you're targeting the legal industry, the CEOs of legal offices should only be following your page. That's it, not other IT vendors. I see that a lot. And I was desperately, desperately trying to find an IT service firm on LinkedIn that did a good job on their page. And I'm not a self promoter. I'm not going to put single point of contact page. That's not my goal. These guys might feel like these guys are a prickly group. They're funny. A lot of them attack me, and I'm just like, all right, I'll take your punches. But I'm just like, I'm not here to promote my business. I'm here to educate, provide guidance, provide some mentoring. And Gregory and I just want to be helpful. We want to eventually monetize the MSP Corner. Obviously, who doesn't want to monetize their business? But right now, we're just like, hey, we're giving you guys some pointers. You can use them or not use them. But what's very important is your LinkedIn company page. You should not ignore it. People are going to it, just like you said. They will go to your page, web page, LinkedIn page, everything. Well, I'm going to close this out unless you have some final thoughts.
We covered a lot of ground. So biggest takeaway, just don't skip strategy. You
Yep.
got to focus on strategy before you jump into the tactics. It will serve you well, and most MSPs don't do it.
Yep.
So if that's the one takeaway from all the stuff we chatted about today, that should be the one.
Well,
Right.
I appreciate you making time. I'm going to share your website so whoever listens to it, they can go to www.realtomarketing.com. And I got to put a description in the in our summary of what the show's about, and I'll include that link in there also. But hopefully this generates some business for you.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. It's been fun to connect.
Thanks.
All right, Tim. Thanks again. You have a great day. Thanks everybody for listening. If you have any questions, don't forget to sign up to be a member on the mspcorner.com website, and please share this link with the CEO of an MSP who will find this information beneficial to their business. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.